whatever it gets, it's not satisfied, it wants to move on. So hearing about the glories of the holy name and how it's the only place to be and how everything is complete within the holy name because Krishna is fully present there with all his qualities, his form, his lila, is informative for the intelligence which can overcome the mind and keep bringing it back until it has a taste. And also until the various samskars and modes of nature are gradually weakened and then removed from the mind so that only the impressions of the spiritual sound vibration are left. And then one's mind can be fully absorbed all the time in the holy name and the hearing Krishna Katha. Here are a few more instructions from Srila Prabhupada's writings. Prabhupada writes, and this is from a lecture on Bhagavad Gita that Prabhupada gave in 1973 in Australia. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If you chant these 16 words, it is not very difficult. Anyone, there is no secrecy, there is no charge for it. We don't say, I shall give you some secret mantra, you give me some money. No, we don't say. We openly chant this Hare Krishna mantra. Anyone can chant also. But see the effect of chanting this mantra. That is up to you. If you begin chanting, you'll feel the effect very soon. So this is called manmana, always thinking of Krishna. As soon as one chants Hare Krishna, immediately he remembers Krishna. He immediately remembers Krishna's activities, Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's form, Krishna's quality, Krishna's attributes, everything. That is called to absorb the mind in Krishna. This means you become immediately the first-class yogi. Yoginam api sarvesham madgatanantaratmana. This is the process. So these boys and girls who have taken to Krishna consciousness movement seriously, they are all first-class yogis because they are always thinking of Krishna. Manmana bhavamad bhakta. So if you want to develop Krishna consciousness, then you kindly associate with these devotees. We are opening so many centers all over the world. We have already 102 centers just to give opportunity to all classes of men to associate with devotees and develop your love for God. This is the purpose. And we have no other purpose. These centers are being opened. So I request you, those who are interested in loving God and Krishna consciousness, they will kindly associate with these devotees. This is our method. When a man, a gentleman, or lady comes to our association, he associates with us for 3 months, 6 months. Then automatically he desires to be initiated. Bhajana Kriya means one becomes anxious. The effect of sadhu sangha is to become anxious. How to execute this devotional service properly. That is called initiation. So they come forward. The president recommends that this boy or girl is now living with us for so many months. He's interested. He may be initiated. Then we initiate. But initiate with some condition. Anartha nivritti syat. These are the different sinful activities. These 4 principles, the pillars of sinful activities, are 4 in number: illicit sex life, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling. All these boys and girls who are sitting here, you know that they have given up automatically. They have been able, by association with Krishna, it has become very practical and easy thing to give up all these 4 principles of sinful activities. Because without being pure, you cannot understand the Supreme Pure. God is the Supreme Pure. Now, how is it possible? If one is simply engaged in pious activities, the most pious activity is to be engaged in Krishna consciousness movement. Then these are the different stages. Artificially, we are practiced to things just like meat eating. Meat eating, we do not practice it from the beginning of our birth. Just after birth, the child, the baby, requires little honey or little milk, not the meat. But afterwards, the parents or the guardians are teaching how to eat meat. This is not our human business. Human teeth is meant for eating fruits and grains. This is scientific. Our teeth are made in that way. So anyway, meat eating, intoxication, illicit sex, as soon as one takes to Krishna consciousness movement, these 4 pillars of sinful life are immediately broken. As soon as one becomes free from all sinful activities, he becomes firmly convinced of God consciousness. Then you taste, oh, it is so nice, Krishna consciousness. So because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chanted these 16 names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, therefore we also follow the footprints of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We are also chanting the same Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and we shall request you also. There is no expenditure, there is no loss on your part, but if there is any gain, why don't you try it? That is our request. Chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is the process for increasing your attachment for God, Krishna. That is our real constitutional position to love God. We are loving also in this fallen state, but not God, all non-God or some pseudo-God. But when we come to the real stage of loving God, then at that time our life becomes perfect. And it is said in the Brahma Samhita, Premunjana Chudita Bhakti Vilochanena Santaksadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti. When you develop your love of God, Krishna, then you see God every moment, every step. Santaksadaiva. Sadaiva means always. If you say, can you show me God? There is no need of showing God. You qualify yourself, and God will be visible in every step of your life. Again, you qualify yourself, and God will be visible in every step of your life. Then your life will be successful. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Lecture on Bhagavad Gita 7.1, Sydney, February 16th, 1973. Thus spake His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. And now let's just hear a few reflections. Anything you heard or some realization you've had from chanting Japa this week or this morning?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
I was just thinking about what you were saying, and it was actually a thought that was coming to me in my Japa. Yesterday I was really tired after doing books, and instead of reading, I just said, I think I'm just going to sit down and chant. And this morning I was reflecting on that, and I was just thinking, the holy name is such a nice place to go to. It's just such a nice place to be. And then I also have a question, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So my question is, qualifying ourselves from going from Namabas to Shuddhanam. How do we prepare the ground, the soil, for entering into Shuddhanam properly?
The best way is to, as Prabhupada said, train your eyes to spot offenses. And take the 10 offenses as very important, not that you do this, but don't take it as rote. It's something we recite early in the morning before we start chanting, but look into it and see how you can integrate those prohibitions into your lifestyle. And that's the only blockade between us and Shuddhanam. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur points this out in the Harinam Chintamani. There are clouds and mist that block us from getting the full effect of the holy name, and those come in the form of aparadhas. Aparadha means we're not worshiping properly, we're making some offense. So there are offenses to the holy name, there are offenses to devotees, and there are offenses in worshiping Krishna. And if we study these very carefully, and we practice avoiding them as much as possible, then we move very quickly into the Namabhas stage. In fact, just the endeavor to remove offenses means that we're in Namabhas. And when we don't care for the offenses, in other words, we're not thinking about it, we're just chanting and we don't attend to the offenses, and meaning we don't try to remove them, we're not vigilant, then we're in Namaparadha. So cultivate those and try to vigilantly avoid them, and then the holy name starts shining through much more quickly, and we can rise to the point of Shuddhanam by that process, chanting and avoiding offenses. This is confirmed by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who says, it's not just chanting Hare Krishna through which we attain perfection, but it's chanting Hare Krishna and avoiding the offenses at the same time. Of course, if one's offensive and you don't know how to avoid offenses, then the Padma Purana says, Nama parada yuktanam naman yeva harantyagan avishrani pruktani name varta karanicha. Then just chant nonstop. Don't stop chanting so that your mouth says some offensive thing. Just keep chanting and don't stop. And then you'll develop the intelligence to avoid offenses. Thank you, Devavrata Prabhu. Good to see you. Yes, please.
Prabhu, thank you for arranging this session every Saturday. It's just such a nice thing to chant together. I was actually recently hearing to one lecture where it was mentioned that those who get introduced to the holy name, they don't know about the apparatus. They start actually chanting in the Namabhas state directly. So, Prabhu, is it like they do it for some time and then once they get into the intricacies of bhakti, then slowly they start committing offenses? Because it is says if somebody unknowingly chant the holy name, they chant it actually in the Namabhas stage.
Yeah. So that's explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam, especially in the section of Ajamil, because he unknowingly chanted the holy name of the Lord and he got so much benefit. So there it's explained how if one is innocent and unknowingly chants the holy name of the Lord, not for any purpose, that is, that I want to clear my sins so I can go on doing whatever I want, then it has that powerful effect. But then once one comes to the practice in knowledge, then one has to be vigilant and take responsibility for going the next distance, which is to overcome the offenses very consciously. And those who are in knowledge have a higher level of responsibility to live up to that knowledge, because we're not dead stones. We're actually part and parcel of Krishna. Therefore, we can't just say, Krishna, you pull me out of the hole. I'll just sit here. And they say, oh, grab onto the rope. And it's like, I don't think so. You just wrap it around my wrist somehow. We have to make the endeavor to overcome it. So that's the heavy burden of coming to awareness and knowledge of what the process is and who Krishna is.
Prabhu, I had a comment. I was just thinking that in India, many people have names which are connected to Lord Vishnu or Lakshmi. So I was just wondering that how merciful Krishna is that, just as you said, Jamila, he just called out his son's name. So even just calling their own son's name with affection, they'll get so much sukriti. So I was just thinking in that sense that how merciful Krishna is.
Oh, that's why Bharat is called Punya Bhumi. When you go there, even the tobacco shop is called Krishna Tobacco. And the holy name is all pervasive because it's part of the culture there. So that's why you feel some ecstasy and happiness when you're moving about. Even innocently, people are chanting, and it's ingrained in the culture. And that's why, as Prabhupada explains, when you take initiation, you change your name, and you get a name of Krishna, so that even unconsciously, you're always chanting Hare Krishna. Prabhupada explains this in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we want to always be with the holy name, always around the holy name. And the more that we're consciously doing that, and surrendering to the holy name, cultivating knowledge about how to avoid offenses, and cultivating knowledge of the glories of the holy name, then the more we make advancement, the more deliberate it is. So those kinds of namabhasa are effective and they're powerful, but they're called low-level namabhas. And high-level namabhas, there's an intentionality that's counted because we're trying to overcome offenses while we're chanting. And even though we're not perfect, we will become perfect by doing that. And in due course of time, it will come to each person by its own force, by the power of the holy name.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
This is Sadhana Das. Please accept my humble obeisance.
Hare Krishna Sadhuji.
I was just thinking how in like different yugas, there was different types of worship. Like in one yuga, there were sacrifices, and it was so hard. But in the Kali Yuga, there's the chanting of the holy name, and it's so easy. But if you just chant with love, then um, you'll attain a Goloka Vrindavan, the abode of the Supreme Personality of the God, Supreme Personality of Godhead. So I was just thinking how the chanting is so powerful and beautiful. And if you chant with love, you can attain the abode of the Supreme.
Yes, these are excellent points that you make. The chanting with the holy name is always efficacious. There's never a time when it's not. And in every yuga, it's always effective also. But in Kali Yuga, the holy name is augmented for a couple of reasons. One is because people are so fallen and they need a direct method. It is extremely powerful. Therefore, the Shastra recommends the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Jiva Goswami says that our main qualification in this age is our disqualification. Means that I'll speak for myself. I don't mean any of you, but people are so fallen in this age that they're given a dispensation that you just do this and you'll become perfect by the chanting of the holy name. So if we can understand that and take full advantage of it, then we'll get the blessings of the holy name and the power of in which it was offered through the disciplic succession as well. Plus, in Kali Yuga, especially now, as is mentioned in the Beta Kirtan pastimes, the chanting that we're receiving is coming from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's a different kind of chanting. It's called Prem Sankirtan. And it's infused with the mood of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the ecstasy that he has in his heart for the worship of Radha Krishna in the spiritual world. So when we're hearing that through the cyclic succession, we're also imbibing that particular potency and mood that's coming from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates. And Prabhupada mentioned that in the earlier purport, that if you get it from someone else who doesn't have that, or is against Krishna, or is just saying Hare Krishna professionally, or because that person is a Mayavadi and thinks I will become Krishna, then Avaishnavam Makun Girnam Putam Harikatamritam Shravanam Navika Kartavyam Sarvo Sarpochishta Yatapaya. It's like drinking milk that's touched by the lips of a serpent. Ours is the opposite. The Ma mantra we're touching is touched by the lotus mouth of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and it has that Prem Sankirtan in it, Prem Nam. So we get that special benefit. We can take full advantage of that. So oh yes, please go ahead, Sachin. Or Priya Kishori. Hare Krishna.
So I was reflecting on your comment about making offenses, and I was noticing that in the Anartha Nivritti stage, especially when we're battling with so much of our internal struggles, it's so difficult to sometimes proceed on that path, and how avoiding the offenses just makes the path more easy. But we have to be so careful, especially on the mental level, because sometimes the offensive mentality just is always, nagging in the back of your head, running comments, or just making our path more difficult. And even though we may not say it, I think that tendency to be offensive is still dormant within our mind. And hopefully by the constant chanting of the holy name, like you were saying, we can overcome this deep-rooted tendency.
Yes, thank you for pointing that out, Priya Kishori. And the Shastra recommends sadhu sangha, because by sadhu sangha, we can be lifted above the mental level. When you get around someone who has special enthusiasm for chanting Hare Krishna, for avoiding offenses, then we pick up the same mood. The mind may become lazy about doing sadhana. The mind also may develop some kind of offenses, resenting devotees or thinking ill of them and so forth. But if you get around someone who's practicing at a higher level, and you may notice this, then you'll see, like you may say something that's not offensive, but it's not completely on track. And then they'll gently say something back that, oh, yes, that's not important because devotees are all chanting Hare Krishna or something. And immediately your mind snaps back into, oh, yes, there's a higher standard. So sadhu sangha is extremely important. We can't do this alone. Even if we just chant Hare Krishna constantly, we may become distracted by the samskars in our own mind. But if we stay constantly in association with devotees and try to associate with devotees who are on a high level, which means they're non-offensive, then we'll also be lifted up. And that's the way to assure that we make it to the finish line, is sadhu sangha. It's the most important aspect. Okay, let's chant for a few more minutes until the top of the hour. Shri Harinam Prabhu Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Gaur Premanande Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining the Japa Circle. And we will see you, if you can come back, at 20 minutes past for Krishna Katha, and we'll keep the vibration going. Vanchakalpadrishya kripasundabeva patitanam pavanibhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha nantakoti vaishnavini ki jai, Shri Hari Ram Prabhu ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande Hari Bol. See you in 20 minutes or less.